Hello, gorgeous. Welcome to HG Radio, everything beauty, cancer, and inspiration. Here is your co-founder and host, Kim Becker.
Hello, gorgeous, and thank you for joining us today. I'm your host, Kim Becker, and this is Hello, Gorgeous, everything beauty, cancer, and inspiration on Society Bites Radio, social interaction for the mind and soul. This episode is brought to you by Amplified Marketing Group. They specialize in affordable mobile solutions that will get you noticed and help you retain customers. Check them out at yourphoneguy.com. Our guest today is Stacie VanLaere. Stacie has been married to her husband, Chris, for 20 years, and they have 2 teenage children, Olivia and Colvin. Besides being a mother and a wife, she is also a nurse, daughter, sister, sister-in-law, and an aunt. And she is also a cancer survivor of almost 6 years. Working as a nurse for the past 26 years, she has worked in several areas, but spent most of her career as a staff nurse in intensive care. She has recently left bedside nursing and is now working as a case manager in a local hospital. In November of 2014, she was diagnosed with stage 2 invasive ductal carcinoma. She underwent a bilateral mastectomy, had 8 rounds of chemotherapy, 6 weeks of radiation. Stacie says that she couldn't have done it without the love and support and care from her village. Hi, Stacie, and welcome to the show.
Hi, Kim.
How are you?
I am well. How are you today?
Good. I am so excited to be able to share your story. You know, as you know, you will always be one of my favorite makeovers, and we tell your story all the time. Little do you know, we tell your story all the time. So,
oh my goodness.
So I'm so excited to be able to share your story with our listeners. So let's start off. So tell us a little bit about your breast cancer diagnosis and how you actually discovered that you had breast cancer.
I actually had, my husband had noticed a lump on my breast, and we were on vacation out of town in St. Louis. And he said, well, I think that's a bump on your breast. We should go and have that looked at. I'm like, oh no, it's fine. It's no problem. And we ended up cutting the trip a little bit short and going home early, and had all the testing done. And of course, everyone all along was like, oh, 80% of all biopsies are negative, which is great. Those are great odds. But for me, the odds were not in my favor. So yeah, I had a biopsy, and they came back and said I have cancer. That's crazy.
How old were you when you were diagnosed?
I was 41.
And so you hadn't even been having regular, well, no, your husband found the lump, but you weren't having regular mammograms at that point in time either, were you?
No, I had a mammogram at 35 as like a baseline, and I had missed my mammogram when I was 40. I was just running a little bit behind, hadn't been to the OB yet that year. And so, you know, it was summertime, and I'll do it when the weather turns and I've got less stuff going on. So it was on my radar, but it was just in the future. You know, I wasn't really heading to the doctor here for about another 4 or 5 months, you know, waiting for fall. And yeah.
Well, and I remember too, when we had done your makeover, you had shared with us that you had lost quite a bit of weight, and that you kind of attributed some of that to being able to feel that lump.
Absolutely. So, right. So I had been quite a bit overweight, and my sister and I had been on this health journey, and I was working out regularly, probably 5 or 6 times a week. I had lost about 60 pounds, and I was feeling great. I felt like I, owned the world. And after I had lost all that weight, everything had kind of thinned out. And when the weight had come off, then you could actually see the lump on my breast. And and I hadn't been doing regular monthly testing. You know, they always say that, and I wasn't very diligent about doing that. And so I probably would have found it on my own if I had been a little bit more diligent and done my monthly self-breast exams.
Now, did you have any breast cancer in your family history at all?
Absolutely not. We had no history of cancer at all. The closest relative that I knew of was my grandmother's sister's like it was so many people so removed. My grandmother's sister's sister, and they didn't know what kind she had. They said it was lady cancer, and that was it. It was open and closed. So who even knows where that was, you know? And
Right.
so it was just no family history of cancer at all. So it just kind of hits you in the gut. Just you don't expect it, you know. If they would
Right.
have said, "Oh, you've got heart disease," sure, I expect that. That runs in the family. High blood pressure, it runs in the family, but not cancer. Mm-mm.
Wow. And so, how did you tell your family then about your diagnosis?
Oh, Kim, that was hard. So, all you can do is just pick up the phone and just call them. And my sister was mad. She was very angry, and just you just can't until somebody tells you you have cancer. You just have no idea what that feels like. And I think I was probably the most calm about it. Um, I'm a nurse, and so you know, I I'm around medical things all of the time, and I deal with people who have had, major surgeries for cancer and stuff like that. But when it's you, it's different. Um, so yeah, my my parents were very supportive. I think they were very upset, but I think all in all, my sister, she's like my best friend, and she was angry. She was mad. So, but we all kind of pulled together and we got through it.
And it's amazing because I really do think that having that support is absolutely huge. To be able to have somebody rally around you and just say, it's okay, we're going to do this together. It really means a lot when you don't have to stand there and do it on your own. So, what did it mean to have your sister by your side?
Oh, it was fantastic. My sister came to every treatment. Um, she helped. My husband was supportive, came to, all the doctor's appointments. And, if I needed something that I wasn't very able to verbalize, she's a girl, she's my sister. She kind of would know things, and then she could clue in Chris, oh, you should do this, or if we did that, what about this? And yeah, it was, I could not have done it without my village. My parents were supportive. My husband's family, my in-laws, like everybody just pulled together. My church family, the school family that my kids went to school with, just everyone just rallied. Just I never felt alone.
Mhm.
It was just everyone was there, and was able to do things that I didn't know that I needed to have done, and they just kind of rose to the occasion. It warms your heart.
It really does.
It
And
does.
I think that that's why when we came up with the makeover, the concept for the Hello Gorgeous makeover, we wanted it to be a surprise for the woman that was battling cancer. And part of that was because I think that people feel helpless and they don't know what to say and they don't know what to
Mhm.
do. So a lot of times they do nothing. So I feel like when we created the program the way that we did, and you have to be nominated, that it made the people that can bring all of that day together for you, it empowers them because they're like, oh my gosh, we get to do something. And so, we worked with Meredith, your sister, on
Mhm.
pulling that day together. So Stacie, tell me about your Hello Gorgeous makeover.
So I was very surprised. My friend Stacie, who is also a cancer survivor, and my sister Olivia, and had worked to get me over to the Century Center, and there was some kind of a fundraiser, and they had employed me as just a little ladies' afternoon out, and maybe some lunch, and we'll just kind of have fun. And when you're going through treatment and you're at home, you don't always feel like getting out, but it's good to go and have short social outings. So we went for the day and was shopping around. It was a lot of fun. And then you and Mike had come on the mic and started talking about Hello Gorgeous and what you did and makeovers for women, and then started reading the nomination. And of course, I'm listening to it, and it's not really hitting me. And about halfway through, I was like, oh dear God, they're talking about me. So it was very emotional. Um, Definitely felt all of the love. So it was great. It was really wonderful hearing the nomination. It was fantastic. Very surprised.
So that's, I love what we do because we can actually do these makeovers anywhere. And so we whisked you away. This particular event was next to a hotel. So we took you into one of the suites upstairs and you got, a full day of pampering. So what was your favorite part of the makeover that day?
Oh my gosh. I, I just being able to relax and be taken care of. I really felt like a queen. Everybody was just so gracious, so friendly, so genuine, and just kind of wanted to talk about me and talk about life. And I got a pedicure and a manicure, and I was put in a big fluffy robe and had a facial, and just so many people, just all it's hard to describe because I just felt so loved. Like everybody was there, and it was just it was it was touching. It was very heartwarming.
My favorite was, well, watching you, the clothes were one of my favorites, but then
Mm.
watching you cascade down that huge staircase
Oh my
into
gosh.
that big room filled with people, that was like something we had never done before. And so it was like a movie. It was
Yeah.
so perfect. And you were so graceful because I would have tripped and fallen down the stairs. So you did a great job not tripping and falling down the stairs.
Oh
But
my
it
gosh.
was so wonderful. So we take you back and we get you back on the stage to introduce you to the crowd that had gathered there. But then we took you off into a smaller room where we had like a bunch of your family and friends, and we were talking earlier about the support you felt. And what did that mean to you when you walked in there and you saw all these familiar faces?
I mean, honestly, I was just so taken by surprise. You would have thought that I could have figured it out given all the time that we had to be pampered, but I really had no clue. I just thought it was Stacie and Meredith, and then I had this makeover, and that was it. I mean, I felt like a queen coming down the stairs. You talk about that was impactful. Honestly, I felt so pretty. I came right down those stairs. I had that gorgeous wig, such a pretty outfit, and and then I went up on the stage, and as I'm looking out and I'm looking into a crowd, it was a large crowd of people. I couldn't tell you how many people were there. And then I just started seeing my family members and Chris's family, and they live out of town. They live in Kalamazoo and Indianapolis, and then my grandmother was there, and I was like, oh, I just kept seeing people and seeing people, and like it was just shock after shock after shock. It just wasn't expecting any of that.
That's awesome. And that's what we want. That's what we want is just a day full of surprises that just allows you to forget about what you're going through. Just even if it's just for one day, that's our goal. So share with us, where are you now?
Now, well, I'm cancer free. It's almost 6 years. I don't really know when you count it from diagnosis or end of treatment or what, but in the late fall, it will be 6 years from diagnosis. So I'm living life. I'm working. I work part time. I'm a case manager, raising my kids, taking vacations, just living life to its fullest.
And so how do you think that your perspective on life has changed since cancer?
Um, I, when I was raised, my mother always raised us to do your work first, and then you can play. And, in the summertime, we had a large garden, and we couldn't go to our friend's house until we had weeded the garden or picked the vegetables, or, now we got to do the canning, and you got to come home and do your homework. And everything is, you have to finish your work before you can play. And when you're faced with not knowing if you have tomorrow or not, you kind of put that to the side. There is always